He says he'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow turns into next week. Next week quietly becomes next year. And somewhere in between, hours disappear into scrolling, gaming, watching other people build the life he keeps promising himself he'll build too. If this sounds familiar, maybe even a little too familiar, stay with me. Because what if the problem isn't laziness at all? That sentence should make you uncomfortable, because most of us were taught that not following through means we're weak, undisciplined, lacking willpower, but psychology tells a very different story. Many intelligent, capable people stay stuck not because they can't succeed, but because some part of them is quietly protecting itself from failure. Carl Jung had a name for this pattern: the puer aeternus, the eternal child. It describes someone who stays psychologically suspended in potential, always about to become something, never quite arriving. Not because they're incapable, but because as long as the dream stays a dream, it can never be disproven. Think about that. Potential feels safe because it has never been tested. The version of you that exists only in imagination never fails a launch, never gets rejected, never writes a bad first chapter. The fantasy version of you never fails. The real version must. And that's terrifying, so terrifying that many people would rather live in possibility forever than risk meeting their own limits. You can see it everywhere once you know what to look for. Someone who wants to start a business, who has the idea, the notebook, the plan, but never actually launches. Someone who dreams of writing a novel but has rewritten chapter 1 for the past 3 years. Someone who longs for a real relationship but somehow always avoids the conversation that would make it real. Someone who researches endlessly, more courses, more videos, more information, but never takes the one step that would actually test what they know. The hidden logic underneath all of it sounds almost like relief. As long as I never fully try, I never have to discover what I'm actually capable of. Procrastination in this light isn't a character flaw, it's emotional self-protection. This shows up through 3 traps. The first is escaping into comfort, scrolling, gaming, binging, anything that quiets the discomfort of an unstarted life. The second is living in temporary mode, treating today as a placeholder, always convinced that real life begins later, once things are ready, once you're ready. And the third trap is the most seductive: falling in love with potential instead of progress. Loving the idea of who you could become so much that you never risk becoming anyone at all. But here's where this story turns. Growing up isn't about becoming dull or giving up your dreams. Maturity is not the death of imagination. It's learning to carry responsibility without abandoning the parts of you that still want something more. So how does someone actually step out of this pattern? Start before you feel ready, because readiness is a feeling, not a requirement, and it rarely arrives on its own. Accept being average at the beginning, because every skilled person you admire was once embarrassingly new at what they do. And build discipline through small promises kept daily, not massive transformations, just tiny proof, again and again, that your word to yourself actually means something. Because here's the truth underneath everything we've talked about today. The biggest tragedy isn't failure. It's reaching the end of your life and realizing you spent decades preparing to live instead of actually living. So I want to ask you honestly, is there a dream you've been protecting by never fully trying? Tell me in the comments, I'd really like to know.